I wasn't actually going to stop, but I figured this was a long ferry ride and I should grab some food. So I just stopped over at Llanfair Pwll Gwyngull Goger Wynthrob Llan Tysilio Go 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 for a little spot of dinner. Got myself a tuna sub and then crisps drink. I do like the meal deals. They are quite nice. Not sure if I'll make it all the way to Wrexham tonight. We'll see kind of how we go, but it's a lovely night. I'm feeling good. It's been very little riding today, so I might get going later than usual. Today's campsite is in Wales, and it's quite nice. It's very windy, but it could not be more stereotypical if you tried. There are sheep just grazing. Lovely views. Like, look at that. Lovely. 6th or 7th time camping. I'm finally getting the hang of it, figuring out things I can and can't leave. Like, I'm leaving the saddlebags on the bike tonight. The big thing is my waterproofs I'm bringing into the tent with me.
I caught the 2:30 ferry from Dublin to Holyhead, so I landed in Wales in the early evening. This evening was another major disappointment, but not because the riding wasn't good, exactly the opposite in fact.
I lost an hour of Wales where I was actually going through the lovely canyons and mountains. It is what it is, but I'm so annoyed. It is so annoying.
I did end up in a bit of a reflective mood that night though.
I'm not usually one to think of the future in great detail, so I surprised even myself when I was thinking just now. So far this traveling thing has been really nice. It sucks that I'm not able to travel like this very often. I could see myself living in Europe. I like mountains, I really do.
I said that not knowing how unpredictable the mountains can be. When I pulled up, it was a lovely sunny evening. A bit later that night, well...
I've set up my tent, I'm in my tent. I'm realizing that I'm going to have a cold wind all night.
Unfortunately, I was right. It only got worse from there.
So it is 3 a.m. The wind has been absolutely unrelenting. And it looks like the fly has come off of one of where my feet is. So my top bag was just out in the rain. I think I'm just gonna need earplugs because it is so loud.
The overnight wind brought in the clouds, which made it a very cold, damp morning.
It's abidingly funny that I'm feeling better, the congestion is clearing, I'm finally doing okay. And then I have to pack up in the cold and damp, so I may end up getting a little bit sick from this as well. This is kind of the experience. It's what I signed up for, I knew it. And it's not too bad.
It's not too bad, he said. Within an hour it got so rainy I was forced to pull over and wait it out.
It is a wet day in Wales. I'm about 10 miles still from Wrexham, which is where I was going to stop for lunch, but I don't know if you can see just a sheet of rain. The roads aren't terrible, at least they're smooth and flat. The worst part was pulling into here, there are huge potholes in the stopping area, like that one there in the centre of the screen. Which I really don't want to get my bike in, because that would dump me.
On top of everything else, I had this realization as I was packing up that morning.
Apparently I'm missing a bag of clothes. Ugh, why am I like this?
I didn't just encounter wildlife that morning though, I also had myself a jump scare. Things can get a bit timey-wimey when the footage doesn't match the pace of the story, so I want to take a moment here to point out the timestamps of the last two clips. At 10:55, it was cloudy but still relatively dry except for the grass. At 11:05, everything was soaked. So stopping off for lunch before Wrexham was definitely the right decision.
The rain has eased off quite a bit in the 20-30 minutes I was here, so I'm very happy for that because it was awful.
Plus, after things dried out a little, I hit some really nice bends around Wrexham, including one of the cleanest corners of my whole trip. So my day had really turned around by that afternoon. It got warm and sunny, and the twisties out there were tremendous fun. While those are playing, I want to quickly address my little video at Llanfair Pwll Gwyngull Goger Wynthrob Llan Tysilio Go Go Go. No, I don't actually understand Welsh. Yes, that was my first and only take, and I only practiced once or twice beforehand. The thing is, about 2 years before my trip, I decided it would be fun to call a town in my Dungeons and Dragons campaign But when you mess with your friends like that, you have to commit to the bit. So I looked up the pronunciation, I memorized it, and never ended up using that little beat. But it did set me up perfectly for that not so casual flex. Yeah, Wales was great for me. It was absolutely fantastic.
Well, I got in a silly fucking accident.
I spoke too soon.
Coming up this road here, it widened and there was another car I'd been stuck behind going like 20, 22 when I was hoping to do about 30 coming down here. They stopped there where it was wide. I decided to go around. There's a Mini coming the other way. Figured I'd squeeze in, only going about 20 miles an hour or so past it. And I got to this bit right here, and my wheel caught the edge, and the whole bike just went into the ditch. Fortunately, very low speed, it threw me off. I'm so annoyed with myself. There were some very helpful people who came and helped out. They got a rope to help get the front wheel out. I'm glad I didn't come off here where it's about 3 feet below the line. That could have been real bad. No damage to me, a little bit of scraping on my bike. I'm just so annoyed.
Let's play it back again, uninterrupted this time.
After going into the ditch, something feels slightly off, but I can't tell you what.
That's right, after about 5 minutes of being back on the road, I went straight over a patch of wet leaves and nearly dumped the bike again. It had taken me about an hour to fish my bike out of the ditch and repack all my luggage, but I was still a bit shaken. To follow up from that last voice memo, my rear brake lever was bent out of shape and it felt a bit spongy as well, so I wasn't nearly as confident going around corners until I got that repaired. Going into a ditch, on top of the huge disappointment that was Ireland, really put a damper on this leg of my trip, so I headed straight for London. I spent 4 relatively low-key days resting at my grandparents' place and preparing to spend the next 2 months alone on the continent. Since I didn't really go anywhere that week, I don't have any good footage, so here are some clips of me filtering down the M40 while I recount what happened. That afternoon, my first order of business was to find a place to crash. I decided on Shrewsbury since it was the closest town of any real size, and more or less collapsed into bed. I also struggled to get up the next morning.
It is dangerous being in a comfy room on my own because I have no urge to get up and leave. Sometimes you just need to be done with the day, and that was it yesterday. London bound today, gonna need to do some serious laundry.
Then when I finally did get out the door,
And of course it started raining as I got out to do my bike. It's one of those days, I suppose.
but it wasn't all doom and gloom. Just after breakfast, things started to look up a little.
I was just parked up outside Greg's having some lunch, putting my things back on to get going. Guy from the chip shop came out and said hello and, talking about how he has family in Toronto. So we chatted for a minute. He's just like, oh, have you had fish and chips? We make very traditional chips. Just gave me a free bit of fish and some chips, which is really lovely of him. Constantly amazed at the kindness of strangers. It's really nice of him.
And you know what? It was good fish and chips too. So if you're ever up by Shrewsbury, check out Queen's, just off the A458. They're not a sponsor or anything, they just have a cool owner who really improved my day when I needed it. Once I made it back to my grandparents, my first order of business was maintaining my gear. Some holes in my saddlebags needed patching, and my tent pegs were all bent out of shape.
Hello. Look straight enough to me?
Yep.
To say nothing of my bike, of course. We were able to bend my rear brake peg back into shape, but I also needed to replace my chain, which I ended up doing on my way down to the channel. The next day, I was in the mood for some more floor time.
I decided that I want to be outside for a bit. It's funny. Although I have time off from the riding and I don't need to be out and I don't need to be doing anything, I'm still choosing of my own volition to just go outside.
The funny thing is, I only needed 2 days rest before I was raring to go again.
It's hot and sunny and lovely, and as much as I would love to be actually on the road right now, I have a couple of days to kill. And it's funny because while I'm moving, I often just want to stop and want to rest and have some time to explore, and now I'm stopped, I want to get moving again. The grass is always greener, right?
Even just knowing how soon I was leaving was a little bit weird too.
I just had a moment. I'm going to France tomorrow. That's wild. Even though I knew it was coming, even though I planned for it, it's wild.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, facetiousness aside, my first month away was always meant to be a bit exploratory. I was riding through primarily English-speaking countries and had a clearly defined route to get myself used to the experience of living on the road. By and large, I really enjoyed this part of my trip, but continental Europe was a different beast entirely. Oh, and one last thing. I never get tired of accelerating up to highway speeds from a dead stop.